Hey, chochachos and chochachettes. This is The Lost Heir, The Fall of Daria, and it's not going to demo itself. As you may have noticed, it's a text game, so it's just going to be me reading. If you'd like to throw this on the background, or just skip ahead to the next video, that's fine by me. Anyway, here goes. The Lost Heir, The Fall of Daria, by Mike Walter. Take back the throne that was rightfully yours. When demon-summoning usurpers assassinate the king and queen, the right of rulership falls to you, their only child. Develop your own unique prince or princess, discovering a world of fantasy, magic, mystery, and adventure. Yep, 145,000 words. We're just gonna skip this because the spiel is the same every damn time. Develop your own unique prince or princess for good or for evil. Become a noble knight, a greedy thief, an evil priest, a nature-loving druid, a charming bard, a deadly assassin, a wise monk, a well-traveled ranger, a martial cleric, a kind priest, a lot of words, a brutal thug, a steadfast guard, a powerful wizard, or any combination of way too many commas that you choose. Your Highness, the Kingdom of Daria awaits you. First chapter's free, game's $3. Let's do it. I don't know if we'll even get through the first chapter, but anyway. Apparently they give you choices for the other games for no reason. But anyway. Would you like to turn on notifications? No. Hide me the numbers. Okay. The sky is slashed with jagged tears of fire. They are like wounds upon reality itself and cast everything in a harsh red light. The land before you is cracked and dry. There's nothing growing from the parched dirt your feet rest upon. You stand with your army behind you. They wear bright armor and hold sharp swords, though the equipment is dented and scratched from many battles. Your faithful companions are at your side. You survey the mass of creatures before you. Their numbers are without limit as they stretch across the horizon. Many of them are somewhat man-shaped, but twisted, as though they are nightmares of what man could be. Some of them have leathery wings, many have sharp claws, and most of them have great yellow horns protruding from their heads. They are the denizens of the demon realm, come to lay waste to your world. That's probably bad. One of them steps forward, leading the group. It stands at over 7 feet. It swings a claw through the air, seeming to rend the very air in front of it. Why would you put air twice in the same sentence? It unfurls its wings and takes to the sky. Everyone around you tenses as it flies straight for you. That's bad. Okay, so draw a sword, fire catapults, loose an arrow, cast a spell, wizard's lizard, always wizard's lizard. Your words and hand motions warp reality to your whim. Your army takes this as a command and surges forward, screaming their defiance at the otherworldly beasts awake before them. You wake. It's a short dream. You awaken from a good night's sleep with the lingering memory of a dream fading in the morning light. It's a beautiful room with enormous 4-pillar canopy bed, expensive mahogany dressers, and priceless tapestries. Your 12 years of life have been filled with the finest things money could buy. As the firstborn heir to the Kingdom of Daria, you expect such things. You throw back the thick, luxurious covers and get out of bed. You see that your clothes have already been laid out for you on the dresser. You are the Prince or Princess of Daria. We're going to go Prince, so I don't have to change my voice. Also, this is probably not going to last that long. The clothes are of the highest quality. Their cost in gold could probably feed a poor family for a month. Gross. You dress quickly, eager to begin the day. Next to your clothing is your prized possession. Spellbook, holy symbol, sword, lockpicks, bow and arrows. Or a loot. Book. We already wizarded, so let's keep wizarding. The tome is thick and bound in leather. It's full of runes and incantations. This is no child's toy. It is a book of true magic. Although magical study is expected of you, you've taken it far more seriously than anyone would have expected. The result is that your personal grimoire is far more advanced than a child of 12 should be capable of. You slip the book into a specially made holder on your belt before stepping out of your bedroom. The halls are already bustling with servants as they carry things from one end of the castle to the other. You make your way through the corridors instead of taking a private route, eager to meet up with your friend before a full day of lessons and tutoring begins. The servants have places to be, and the sheer number of them clogs the passages. Alright, so are we shoving away? Smile at them. So, strength, charisma, intelligence, or maybe wisdom, agility, force servants depart by presence, or, okay, intelligence is this one, wisdom is the gaps. We're gonna just weave. The servants nod good morning to you as you weave between them. It doesn't take you long to work your way through the castle, noticing as you do that it seems even busier than normal. Perhaps something interesting is happening that you haven't heard about yet. No matter. Your friend is waiting for you, so hurry on your way. So, noble girl Petra, noble boy Peter, Gail the cook's daughter, or Gil the cook's son. Go with Gail. Gail is about your age and was born in the castle too. Her mother, Freda, has been working in the kitchen for 3 generations, having served your grandparents, your father, and now yourself. That's 3 generations. You hurry through the open portcullis and out the front gate of the castle, knowing that she'll be at your usual meeting spot. Sure enough, you find her sitting next to the moat, waiting for you. Gail has dirty blonde hair that lays straight down her back. She's really skinny, but her liquid blue eyes promise beauty in her future. Gonna have that beauty. So, even at 12, you can appreciate her beauty, find yourself attracted to girls. Find her fascinating, would likely continue to feel that way even if she were a boy. Even at 12, you notice oh, that's a good way to handle sexuality, actually. So, het, bi, les, or a. Wow, they even have asexual options. Good move, Mike. You're an okay guy. We'll go filthy cishet. You slept in, Gail says with a grin. That was a nice thing about being young. Your rank rarely got in the way. In fact, she sometimes even called you by your given name. I like Corbin. Although you can choose your own as well. Just let you punch one and it pops it into wherever your name gets used. Corbin, did you see the riders? She asks. Riders, you question. No, I just got up. Who's here? I don't know. I heard a group of 50 men arrived just before dawn. Your parents have already granted them audience for later this afternoon. They're gonna die. They're totally gonna die. 50? You exclaim. And they've already been granted an audience? They must be important. Mom said a banquet has been ordered for tonight, too. Even an exciting event like, visitors isn't enough to change your plans, though. Gail is ready to go. So we're stalking rats, wrestling roughhouse in the moat, reading story, or playing the Kingswood. I like the Kingswood. Gail is eager to leave the castle as you go out into the small copse of trees near the castle. Castle. 2 guards go with you, which you're used to. As the heir to the throne, you are rarely left unprotected. The trees are all nicely trimmed, and the dead wood at their bases is managed by the royal huntsman. It's a well-tended wood filled with deer, rabbits, squirrels, and other gentle animals for the king to hunt safely. An hour later, a servant arrives with a tray of breakfast. Various fruits, oats, honey, and fresh juices have been prepared for your pleasure. You wash your hands using the clean cloth napkins provided and sit down on the blanket where the meal has been placed for you. Gail takes some of the food and begins to eat. Whoa! Moving in, you're 12, dude. I'm just gonna eat my breakfast. Back off. Boundaries! Breakfast slowly begins to disappear as you fill your stomachs. Mom says I should start thinking about my future, Gail says between bites. Ask what do you want to do? You're a good cook. Why don't you take over, or you're just a servant? Alright, let's be nice. I don't know, Gail says with a shrug. My mom wants me to work in the kitchens like her, but I don't know if I want that life. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to live my own life, she adds, away from the castle and everything. Every 12-year-old in the world has probably had the same ideas, regardless of background and personal situation. I have to go, Gail finally says as she pops the last morsel of food into her mouth. Mom will need help with the big banquet tonight. You are also busy. You have lessons and should have left several minutes ago. Harmon, your tutor, will probably be anxious because you're running late. You hurry off to the library, giving Gail a quick wave before you go. When you arrive at the library, Harmon is waiting for you. There are many books placed across the table in front of him. As a prince, you are expected to be well-versed in politics, economics, history, geography, heraldry, spellcraft, and religion. This guy really likes commas. In addition to your academic studies, you have been taught to ride, hunt, play musical instruments, speak eloquently, and dance. Alright, so are you a nerd? Do you like the arts, or do you like whooping on stuff? We'll go with the arts. Harmon smiles as you open the books of poetry and speechcraft. Very good, Corbin, Harmon says after several hours of study. Now tell me what you know of Consortium. The Consortium. Alright, are they demon worshippers? Do I know where they are? Or you're the teacher. I call them lazy. Alright, I know where they are. Their headquarters in Vernex to the north. Very good, Harmon says proudly. Yes, surrounded by mountains, but not as far north as the Norgan Mountains and the clans who live there. The Consortium of Planeswalkers is a group of mages who believe that demon summoning should be allowed across the land. I guess who we're fighting later. Or in the dream. They believe that demon labor should be used without regulation. will listen intently. You are a diligent student and listen eagerly. We've graced with a large contingent from the consortium, Harmon explains. Oh, that's the guys who showed up. They were presenting their arguments to your parents once more. As you know, the law restricts demon summoning and leaves its practice in the hands of those who are academy trained. Demons live in a separate plane, accessible only by magic. Through a combination of summoning and control, they can be brought into our world and forced to do the caster's bidding. But if the demon wins this contest of wills, it gains control of the caster. Demons have strange moods, so we'll just talk to their captives, but many have pervasive and cruel tastes. Many of the poor conjurers mutilate themselves or attack others. Weaker demons can only control a person for a few minutes, but stronger demons can keep control for hours or even days. Luckily, this possession is very obvious to anyone seeing it. The mage's actions are very stiff and awkward, as the wizard attempts to regain control. Alexander Zusak is a high-ranking member of the consortium. I hope that you attend court this afternoon and hear your parents' reactions for yourself. That's enough for today. I'll see you tomorrow, Corbin. Okay. Bye. Harmon shuffles some paper and nods to you as you leave. You make your way through the halls to your family's private chambers. As you enter, you see your parents sitting side by side at the table. King Brand is strong and fit for his age. His short beard is white, and his eyes are intense as he laughs at a joke your mother made. Queen Jade had been a real beauty in her youth. Her good looks have matured into a stately grace as she has aged. Corbin, your father calls you as you enter. Old Harmon kept you late, I see. No matter. Grab some food and come with us to the throne room. You look at the finished meal in front of them and realize that Harmon must have kept you past the lunch bell, probably for having arrived late. Together, the three of you start walking down the hall as the servant fills a plate to bring along for you to eat. You were up early, your father says with a smile as you walk. What were you doing? Alright, honesty, tall tale, studying the tax code. Let's just flights of fancy. Your father laughs and ruffles your hair. The courtroom is already filled as you and your parents enter. You can see a man with neatly trimmed goatee and very expensive purple clothing standing off to the side. Another man, large and muscular, stands next to him with a pair of axes on his belt. Weapons are allowed for special guests, although most choose to come before their monarch unarmed. The two men seem to be polar opposite. The short, well-dressed man seems dainty and precise in his bright clothing, whereas the axeman is nearly 2 feet taller, 100 pounds heavier, and wearing dark clothing. The third member of the trio is a woman with straight red hair and short sword on her belt. Her eyes have a highly intelligent look as she watches everyone around her. A servant hands you your plate of food as a herald intones the various titles and ranks to those assembled. Welcome to Tordasa, your father says from his throne. We are pleased to have such a highly esteemed member of the consortium with us today. The man wearing the bright purple clothes steps forward and bows, flashing you and your parents a smile filled with perfect white teeth.
Thank you, your majesties.
The breach in protocol causes the herald to pause momentarily, but he quickly resumes his role. The man hadn't even waited to be introduced. May I present Alexander Zusak, High Chancellor of the Consortium of Planeswalkers. Alright, let's be respectful.
I appreciate your hospitality, your majesty,
he says to your father, the official ruler of Daria. Well, duh. Although your mother is often consulted during difficult decisions, the royal line has always been passed down from father to son, making your father the most important person in the room. Let me save you some time, your father says. I must tell you that I have no intention of lifting the ban on demon summoning. The boundary must be protected, and such power isn't safe in the average person's hands. The kingdom of Daria will continue to leave the regulation of the arts in the hand of the academy. Zusak smiles at these words.
I suppose that all of the standard arguments, including free labor and equality in the hands of those without ranks, won't sway your opinion?
I'm afraid not, your father says with a diplomatic smile of his own.
Very well, thank you for allowing me to present my views.
I trust you to stay for the banquet we're holding in honor of the consortium?
Naturally,
Zusak replies with a greasy smile. Corbin, your father says, why don't you go have some fun before the banquet? I'll pass word to your other tutors that you're free from lessons for the day. Eager to be out of court and away from your tutors, you nod your thanks and rush out, holding your plate of lunch in your hands. You don't bother trying to find Gale, knowing that she'd be busy helping her mother in the kitchen, preparing for the large banquet. So, training yards, dungeons, temple, or royal garden. It's dungeon. The long descent down the stairs seems to take forever as you travel deep below the castle. Your parents are kind monarchs who don't use the dungeons very often, although they are also kind enough not to execute criminals needlessly, and so there are always a few poor souls down below. Oh, says one of the guards when you finally reach the last step. Prince Corbin? I'm sorry. I didn't see that was you. What you doing here? Reply honestly. I'm bored. I want to see the dungeons. Well, you really shouldn't be here, the guard says. But if you stay back from the boss, let me accompany you. I suppose it wouldn't be bad. The cell doors are all thick wood with metal bands across them to keep them fortified. Small windows with bars let in a little light and air. You peek through them, but they are mostly empty. The few prisoners you see are lying on their cots or sitting in the corners of their cells. One man is different, though. He looks through the bars directly at you and smiles.
Hello, Your Highness.
Hello. The man has long, straggly gray hair and a matching long beard. He seems very agile despite his age. He bows to you and smiles.
My name is Amos. Pleased to meet you.
Why are you in here?
Murder, he says sadly. I was sneaking through a house when the owner came home. He had a crossbow. We scuffled and it ended up firing into his stomach. I feel bad about it, but that's life.
Amos seems like a nice person despite his terrible situation. He tells you about his life as a thief, which was usually violence-free, except for that one pivotal night. The guard stands nearby, keeping an eye on things, but not interfering with the conversation. Ask if you're so good, why didn't you pick the lock and escape? So how do you walk so silently? Why'd you do it? Or you should be hanged. Anyway, walk so silently.
The trick is all in the foot placement. You see, the toes need to arch just as the heel comes down.
The conversation continues, and you learn a little bit about silent walking. Sometime later, the guard tells you that it's time to leave. He leads you back to the foot of the stairs, where you begin your long journey back to the castle's main levels. Do I have to do everything? We're just gonna go take a nap. You'd gotten up early in order to meet Gale, so you were exhausted. You walk into your room and lay down in your bed, drifting off to sleep almost immediately. I'm guessing you can get like 1 or 2 extra skills for later if you do a couple things. And you probably can't do all of them. There's probably a limit on time. Anyway.
Prince Corbin?
Your valet says, waking you up.
Pardon me, but the banquet has already begun.
You get up and accept the towel that he hands you to wash up with. Another change of clothes has been laid out for you as well. The tunic and breeches are of an excellent cut. The high-cropped boots are very fashionable, and as is the vest that goes over the tunic. You allow the man to comb your hair and tie your boots. All right. Thanks, Bertrand. And hurry to the banquet hall. Your valet smiles and nods as you leave. The great hall is in full swing as you enter. You can see that the long tables have already been filled with the first course, and everyone has begun to eat. 24 nobles are seated along with your parents, with the 3 consortium guests among them. You're surprised to see 6 or 7 nobles at the end who rarely ever come to these things. They are currently out of favor with your father due to various reasons. Overtaxation of their lands, allegations of scandals, and other things. Prince Corbin, heir to the throne of Daria. You ignore the herald as he announces you, and rush over to your place next to the king and queen. You notice Zusak's eyes on you as you take your seat. You're late, your father says. Sorry, I fell asleep. No matter, you're here now, he says with a smile, patting your shoulder in a friendly way. You pick up a spoon and place it into the bowl of soup in front of you. Suddenly, your father knocks the spoon from your hand. You look towards him and notice that it was unintentional. He appears to be having some type of seizure, and a small trickle of blood is running from his nose. That's bad. You begin to stand up to help him, but you're unable to do anything. And you see he's the only one struggling for breath. Yell for the guards. Your shouting goes unnoticed as everyone starts to yell at once. From that point on, things become a blur of chaos, fear, and horror. All the nobles are choking and gasping for breath, including both of your parents. Well, that's quick. I thought it was going to be a little more violent, but okay. You can hear loud screams and clashing swords in the hallway. You watch in stunned silence as men in dark chainmail begin to flood into the great hall. You can tell by their clothing that these are the consortium's guard. Royal guards follow them in, their swords also out. They are not fighting each other, though. Surprised, you see a third group enter the hall. They look to be a ragtag bunch, wearing unmatched armor and wielding all manner of weapons. Both royal and consortium guards battle them in a steady retreat as fighting spills across the great hall.
We're under attack!
Alexander Zusak yells dramatically, breaking from your motionless surprise as he jumps to his feet. This was staged. His 2 companions at his side. His words go unnoticed by the vast majority of nobles, who are beginning to fall to the ground. You feel a pull in your arm and see that the large black-haired man with the 2 axes is trying to lead you away from the fight. The red-haired woman is helping your mother, and Zusak himself. Maybe they're not at fault. I still think it's staged. This will be your father. Your parents are nearly unconscious as they are escorted out of the Great Hall. Two men approach the axe, and the axeman pulling your arm is forced to let go as he deals with one of them. The other is a large man with an ugly scar running down his face. You look up at him from your chair, everything seeming to happen at once. He has a wicked-looking morning star on a chain in his hand. Spikes are red and crusted from gore from his previous opponent. You can see his rotten teeth as he begins to swing the weapon toward you. Bolt of fire. Spell comes quickly to your lips as you summon a ball of fire to your hand. You thrust your palm forward, and the bolt strikes forth. It catches the large man in the upper arm, sizzling as it burns. You can smell the stench as he steps aside, dropping his weapon and trying to put out the fire.
Come quickly.
The large man with two axes says as he returns and drags you away from the fight. He moves with the speed you've never seen before. It seems almost unnatural. You are led back to the royal private quarters. You see the consortium guards are leading nobles in all directions, and that another group of them have formed a protective barrier between you and the fight. It's amazing that they got to the castle so quickly. Zusak, the man with two axes, and the lady with the fiery mane drag you and your parents further away from the fight. He didn't eat, the red-haired woman comments in a cold voice. Your parents are no longer moving at all, having succumbed entirely to the poison. You can see their necks are swollen and their tongues have turned black as they protrude from their blue lips. Great! That's just great. The large man who is accompanying Zusak falls over you, or stands over you, holding an axe in each hand. You notice that he's wearing a thick leather belt covered in runes. Zusak also looks down at you with no hint of his former smile. He's holding a great stone the size of an acorn in his hands. The object is covered in runes, but otherwise seems very dull.
That's it?
The axeman asks Zusak, who nods in reply. The High Chancellor removes a black cloth bag from his belt and carefully opens it. A myriad of conflicting colors arise from the opening. He carefully drops the stone into the bag and returns it to his belt. Asks the woman, what did you mean by that? The woman ignores the question, but Zusak looks you in the eye. Yep, knew it. Okay.
Kill him, Thuja.
He says coldly to the axeman.
They just think it was an escaped prisoner. It would have been cleaner if Selena's poison had done the deed, but this will work just as well.
You watch in stunned disbelief as the man with the axes step forward. Suddenly flashes of light, bright white fill the room. You see ice shards flashing past you and feel one of them cut your arm open. The three others are cut much worse as they raise their hands to block the onslaught. Nice. Through the barrage, you kindly see old Harmon, your tutor, casting the spell from the doorway. Run! He yells. One of the shards of ice randomly slices through the bag hanging from Zusak's belt. You watch as the fabric torn open and the glowing rune-covered stones scatter across the floor, including the dull, unglowing one that he had just added. Instinctively, you grab them as you run past, scooping some of them into your hands as you rush to the guards blocking your path. Unknown to you at the time, this odd compulsion will change the course of history forever. Your last vision of that room is of the bloated corpses of your parents, a vision that will haunt you forever. Dodge through the guards. You squeeze past them before they realize you're there. You burst back into the main throne room, holding your bleeding arm. The attackers wearing mismatched armor are still fighting royal guards, but none of them are trying to push past the consortium's men. All the nobles are now gone, either dead or taken away to safety. In addition to the royal guards, you see a group of older people fighting at the entrance to the hall. One of them is the old knight, Sir Grady. He looks ancient, but his sword is covered in blood. He is fighting like a man a quarter his age, with his white mustache flying out as he defends himself. Now there's a short, bald woman in flowing robes, the monk, Sister Gary. Her hands are a blur as she strikes at the attackers with her fists and feet. A second man with long, straggly white hair and a dirty beard stands nearby. He looks very out of place, but he too is fighting the attackers with a short sword and helping the royal guard. It's Amos, the prisoner you met earlier that day. The last figure is an old woman, Lady Emmeline, one of your parents' advisors. You misspelled advisor. You watch as she slides a wickedly sharp-looking dagger from her cane and drops the stick itself to the ground. I would use the stick as a blocking thing, but okay. Her movements are fast and lethal as she uses the previously concealed knife to kill those who oppose her. The four odd fighters have broken through the mismatched attackers, opening an exit in their ranks. Zusak strides forward confidently, with Thuja and Selena at his sides. He is holding the end of his shirt in one hand, which appears to be sagging at the center. Judging from the colors shining from the makeshift pouch, you guess that it's holding the stones that had fallen out of his torn bag.
Get him!
He yells, pointing at you. The invading soldiers immediately begin to close in on you as the four older fighters hold them back, trying to maintain a clear path to allow you to escape the hall. Sir Grady and Lady Emmeline stand to the left, while Sister Gary and Amos stand to the right. I like Amos, so we're going to run towards them. You run to the right as Sister Gary and Amos urge you down the hall ahead of them. You look back in time to see Zuzak clutching one of his stones in his hand. It glows a deep blue as his eyes glaze over in concentration. Meanwhile, Sir Grady and Lady Emmeline ward against the attackers. The old knight holds his position like a figure out of legend, keeping the attackers at bay with his sword. Lady Emmeline weaves in and out of the melee, her dagger striking vital areas with uncanny accuracy. All remnants of her early infirmities are completely gone. Unfortunately, it isn't enough. Looking past Sister Gary and Amos, you see a sword strike deeply into Sir Grady's neck as another slides into Lady Emmeline's belly. Dozens of swords rise and fall in a shower of blood, killing the two defenders. Through the spray of arterial red, you see a tall, dark-skinned monster. It is 7 feet tall, covered in muscle, and has a pair of long yellow horns sticking out of its forehead. The demon summoners had finally brought forth one of their servants. The beast unfolds a large pair of bat-like wings from its back and flies over the bloody scene, landing just a few feet behind you and your final 2 companions. Each defender grabs you by a hand and pulls you as you come to the last branch in the corridor. Sister Gary pulling left and Amos pulling right. I still like Amos. Sister Gary lets go of your hand immediately, allowing the old man to pull you to your left. Pull you to the left. The demon follows after you, smoke billowing from its nostrils and mouth. "Run, Corbin!" Sister Gary shouts. "The fate of the kingdom lies in your hands." Suddenly, the old monk soars upward as though walking on air and lands on the creature's back. You see her hands raining lightning-fast blows onto the base of its skull as she clings to its back with her knees. The demon roars in pain and fury as it reaches back, grabbing her with a long clawed talon. Sister Gary is pulled free by the neck and lifted into the air by her throat. Her nails dig futilely into the demon's forearm as it squeezes the life from her. Finally, you and Amos exit the castle as the demon drops the dead woman to the ground. The sacrifices of the royal guards and the others aren't wasted as you and your rescuer escape the castle. You stumble in the night, out of breath and bleeding. And then 6 years later, you apparently come to age. And, yeah. As the title of the story would imply, your kingdom is kind of fallen. And I'm guessing the rest of this is all about training under whoever rescued you, plus whatever skills you chose in the beginning. And it seems there's a bit of mix and match there. And I don't know if you come back in this one, because there's a second story, which there will be a video of not too long from now on the same playlist, The Lost Heir 2. I don't know where it cuts off, but we're going to jump into that one and find out. Anyway, Daria has fallen. The story's not bad. And for $3, 145,000 words of options sounds pretty good. I'd go check it out. Links in the info. As per usual. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you later. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments, and consider subscribing so you get videos like this on the regular. I put up a lot of stuff every day. If you help me out on Patreon using the link in the upper corner, you can help me put out even more. You can also check me out on Twitter with the username on the lower right, or swing by my website, negabun.com, for all sorts of content, written, video, and otherwise, that I do regarding gaming.